I've done a video on the various swordsmen in One Piece, but the one thing I haven't done is a top 10 ranking of the strongest of them all. And for this video, we're gonna do just that. But let's get some things out of the way first, because this is not a ranking on any deceased swordsman. So there will be no Roger, no Odin, no Ryuma, none of that. But also, this will not include King the Wildfire. And as much as I would love to call King a swordsman, the dialogue in that chapter where Zoro said he never said he's a swordsman himself, it does make the topic a bit debatable and something you can actually argue about. So just to make things that much easier, he will not be on this list. All right, now let's get straight into it. At number 10, I have the strongest swordsman of the Whitebeard Pirates, Vista. There's not too much we have to say about Vista. I mean, we know what he's about. He's been with the Whitebeard Pirates for over 2 decades. Of course, they've since been disbanded, but Vista's been with them since day one, from the very beginning to the very end, and we saw him in the Odin flashback. He's been growing with the crew year after year after year, to the point that he can get respect even from Mihawk himself during Marineford when he clashed with him. One thing we have to take into account is just because Vista is the 5th Division commander doesn't mean he's as strong as the 5th strongest subordinate of any pirate crew, or any emperor crew I should say. He's still very high up there in the upper echelon of swordsmen. In fact, his Viva card tells us that he is one of the strongest swordsmen in the world. And now the reason why he's not higher on this list is because ever since the time skip, certain things have changed. New characters have been shown and some characters have gotten stronger. If I was to make this list in the pre-time skip, he may have been top 5, maybe even top 3, but new players have stepped up. And one of them is who I have at number 9, and that's Shiryu of the Rain. We had little tidbits of Shiryu's strength in Impel Down when he was a jailer there. There were these comparisons made to Magellan. They were saying that he was as feared as him and maybe even as strong as him. And of course, we saw what Magellan was able to do. So for Shiryu to be on that tier of strength and to get even stronger than that, joining the Blackbeard Pirates, gaining a devil fruit. He even made it to captain of the 2nd ship of the Blackbeard Pirates and is a potential future Zoro opponent. I will say though, with that in mind, number 9 is pretty much as high as I'm willing to go, because being a future Zoro opponent, I don't think that's enough to place him in the top 7, 5, or 3. I'm very open to him being much higher, but he has to show us more. Oda has to develop it more, because in all honesty, as I see it right now, in the event that he faces Zoro, he's a stepping stone of sorts, something to teach him a valuable lesson, perhaps in the realm of observation haki. Shiryu has a very stacked resume, but certain characters just have a lot more going for them. One of them is at number 8, and that's the Surgeon of Death, Trafalgar Law. Straight off the bat, Law has a 3 billion berry bounty. Now, he may be overvalued, but there's a reason still that he got that bounty. It was because of his contributions on the raid in Onigashima and the pivotal part that he played in taking down 2 emperors. Without him, Big Mom and Kaido don't go down. With his fights against Big Mom, Kaido, and even Blackbeard, he has shown great battle IQ, great versatility, great attack power, and exceptional endurance. We saw him taking attacks that one-shotted a Luffy that had just come out of Whole Cake Island, a Luffy that had just defeated Katakuri, and you know what? He's gotten even stronger than that in the weeks after the raid. I'm not really sure what the future holds for him as far as the story goes, but from what we've seen so far, I think is enough to put him in the top 8 strongest swordsmen in One Piece. And I have to say it again, Law went crazy on Onigashima. He went absolutely bonkers. But who I have over him at number 7 is Zoro. And it takes a special type of person like Zoro to be over someone as monstrous as Law. It takes an awakened conqueror. Because of course, as insane as Law is, haki is the pinnacle. Haki transcends all. Zoro had one of the greatest training tools in One Piece, and that was Enma, the former sword of one of the strongest swordsmen of all time, Odin. With the aid of Enma, Zoro unlocked his conqueror's haki and used it offensively by coding his attacks with it. Even before then, Zoro was doing crazy things like breaking Kaido's scales with Dragon Twister, scarring him with Ashura, enduring a combined Emperor attack. So many things to boost his ability. And on top of that, he went on to defeat a Lunarian, one of the most durable beings in all of One Piece. So much so that you have Luffy comparing their durability to Kaido. And at the point that we're at now, Zoro's durability overall should be at a monstrous level. As we all know, the body grows stronger the more punishment it takes, and Zoro took some of the worst punishment on the entire island. And you know what else? He got that damage doubled because of the mink drug that he took. The only person you can argue took more is Luffy. So Zoro's already at the point where he can take a lot of damage from top tiers. As far as his offensive ability goes, I understand at this point people probably think he's still struggling with Enma in the sense that it will drain his haki a lot and he will be unable to fight after a certain amount of time. But I don't think so. I think far too much time has passed for him to not be able to fight at a certain level already, for him to use it in a drawn out battle. He has so much time to learn, and although I think he has gotten used to it to a degree, I think he still has more to learn. I don't think he's a top tier yet. I think there's just one more push he needs to get to that level, and that is why I have a number 6, Rayleigh. So pretty much everything Zoro has, I think Rayleigh already has and has perfected it, with the only thing holding him back being old age and the fact that he's no longer active in combat. You know, even if he's old, he can maintain a certain level by being active, but he's not. He's retired. He's coding ships, enjoying life with his wife, Shaki. He's not fighting anybody, but even then, I think he's still strong enough to be a problem for Zoro. I think the only people you can consider consider above Rayleigh are those that are firmly considered a top tiers, those who have already established themselves on that level. Kizaru and Sabaody, for example. Rayleigh gave him a very hard time, but eventually he would have lost out on the battle due to stamina and old age. I'm gonna get bold here. I'm gonna get very, very bold, because number 5 is someone I don't think anyone is expecting, and that's the leader of the God's Knights, Garling Figarland. Yes, of course, there's so little we know about him, but that's okay because we can let our imagination run wild. In the manga, he's known as something like the hero or the champion of God Valley, and this is the battleground of some of the strongest pirates ever. So for him to be on that stage and to get that kind of recognition, now I'm not saying he was stronger than any of them, but maybe he was on that tier. Maybe in his prime he was on that level, and now he's the leader of one of the most important group of combatants in the entire world government, one that is so significant that them moving means that the real war has begun, the war for control of the entire world. But let's put things like this. Let's say we're comparing him to Rayleigh, both of them in their prime. I would take Rayleigh. Right now though, I'll take Garling Figarland, because while Rayleigh is retired, Garling has an active combative role. He has more reason to maintain more of his strength. He has a reason to be as strong as old age will allow. And who could I possibly have above these guys, you might ask? At number 4, I have another celestial dragon, Ethan Baron v Nusjuro, one of the 5 highest ranking celestial dragons in the entire series, in the entire One Piece world. Honestly, I feel like there's even more room to speculate with them. Nusjuro being the one of them that's a swordsman. Before we even knew they were fighters, he was the one that everybody was looking at. He was the one that people were saying, even if the others aren't fighters, he is definitely a combatant, because look at that sword, look at that Shodai Katetsu. What kind of person will have a Shodai Katetsu, a supreme grade blade, unless they were a top tier? And recently it was confirmed that all of them are combatants. For this ranking, there is a lot going for Nusjuro. And this is the 3rd time in a row that old age is a factor, but I feel like it is very limited in this stage of the game. For one, I think prime Rayleigh and prime Nusjuro, I wouldn't be surprised if the stronger fighter was in fact Nusjuro. But another thing I want to look at is the fact that Imu himself, we have very heavy implications that he is over 800 years old. Speculation has been going around that the 5 elders are also that old, that they're also from the Void Century. That may not be the case, but there is definitely something very fishy going on. I'm not sure what it is, but the fact that they look the same age decades ago in the Ohara flashback, it really does make you think. Have the 5 elders found a way to limit the effects of old age? Are they able to somehow fight in their prime strength right now? I don't think I can go that far, but I do think they are definitely not to be underestimated at all. And now this is where we get to the swordsmen that are in their prime, the ones at the very top of the verse with nothing holding them back. At number 3, I have Fujitora, the naval admiral. With all that headcanon just now, we could get back to stuff that we've actually seen. Fujitora is a blind swordsman with one of the greatest potentials for destructive capacity. He has the ability to attack with gravity-based attacks with his sword Gravito. Not only do you need very elite strength to break out of some of his strongest gravity fields, you also need a way to defend some of the various things that he can throw at you. This man can straight up launch meteors. He can use objects from outer space in battle. Despite all of that, he has become one of the most downplayed characters in the entire series. He's honestly been one of the most impressive. Imagine he was able to fight on par with the number 2 of the Revolutionary Army while holding back tremendously. Honestly, we haven't really seen his true power. We haven't seen stuff like his awakening or any other gravity powers he might have. But let's put Fujitora's strength in a little more perspective. Remember all those pirates and people on Dressrosa? Fujitora could have ended all of them at once. Yes, he was that strong. Luffy, Doflamingo, Law, Zoro, all of them together stood no chance against Fujitora. Let's go back to the Reverie and the fact that it was revealed that Fujitora actually fought Greenbow at the Reverie. This was implied to be a pretty even battle. The thing about that is, a testament to Greenbow's strength is the fact that he was able to beat King and Queen with no effort whatsoever, but then he went on top of that and took on all of the scabbards and made quick work of them as well. He adapted to all their abilities and just bulldozed them. He even took Conqueror's coded attacks and bounced back like it was nothing, and Fujitora is able to match this. That's just how powerful these admirals are, and that's how powerful Fujitora is. And as powerful as he is, there are 2 swordsmen ahead of him. At number 2, I have Shanks. Shanks has one of the most insane resumes in the entire series as far as feats go. Most recently, we saw how he performed against Kid, defeating him in an instant with 0 difficulty. He unleashed a coded attack that was so monstrous that it knocked him out cold. And then you have the clash with Whitebeard, the encounter with Greenbow, the fact that Kaido hyped him up to be one of the strongest pirates ever. Also the fact that Kaido himself had an encounter with Shanks and ended up getting turned back. Kaido figured, this man is way too powerful for me to deal with right now. And despite all that hype surrounding Shanks, there can only be one. There is only one strongest swordsman, and of course that's Mihawk. It goes without saying why this man is who he is. And a lot of his story is tied to Shanks. Shanks. In fact, they even have the same exact birthday. At some point though, Mihawk started to separate himself and became top 1. He has a confirmed supreme grade blade. But beyond even that, he has the strongest sword in the world. A blade stronger than even the ones that Whitebeard and Roger wielded. Stronger than even the one Ryuma wielded. Possibly the strongest bladed weapon of all time. He has a bounty higher than half of the emperors. He did this being a lone wolf, with nothing but his black blade and his monstrous haki. Of course, he is officially recognized by us, the reader, and the One Piece world as the strongest swordsman. And sure, you can say that he's carried by the title as far as physical feats go, but it just confirms for us that they're coming. There's gonna be a time when he has to prove to us, he has to show us on panel why he is top dog. He has to show us, why is a black blade such a useful tool for a swordsman? How does it really set you apart, and what does it take to forge it? And who are these countless powerful swordsmen that he's defeated in the past? And with that, we have reached the end of this video. And those are my top 10 strongest swordsmen of today. But as always, I want to hear what you guys think. Let me know who you think the top 10 strongest swordsmen in One Piece are. Comment on your thoughts down below. But also, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for more videos just like this one.